Much, Mr. Acting Deputy President. On the 17th of August this year, I took my place in the Senate wearing the burqa, which is the most widely recognised symbol of radical Islam. It sent shockwaves across this chamber because it was the first time a burqa has ever been worn in this place. Many here have since disclosed to me they found it confronting, distasteful and unnerving by the sheer fact of its symbolism. Some have called it a stunt, but I prefer to call it drawing attention to the dress code regulations of this chamber, which there are none, and also to add validity to the public's concern that it is of great national security. Let me also add that I believe, like many other Australians, that the burqa and niqab is a form of oppression and control of women. I want these Islamic full-face coverings and other full-face coverings banned in all places where Commonwealth law applies. I am not alone because the Nationals at their conference this weekend will vote on the very same issue. If that policy is adopted, then the Nationals will adopt One Nation policy. Senator Brandis, Hansard recorded your speech in which you criticised me for wearing a burqa in this chamber, but it does not record who stood and clapped. Let me put it on the record now that all of your colleagues and Senator Bernardi remained seated and stunned while you strutted the Senate stage with your quivering lip. All of the Labor senators and the Greens, together with Senator Hinch and Senator Gachui, jumped to their feet to defend the burqa as a religious symbol. Whether or not you agree with my decision to wear a burqa in Parliament is not the real issue. The real issue is Australians want a debate on full-face coverings, and they want a debate on the issues that the burqa raises. It is, after all, a sign of radical Islam which threatens the true Australian way of life. What would our Anzacs say? They fought for our freedom and way of life. There is only one room for one flag, one language, one loyalty and one law. Recently, Australia has lost the lives of precious Australians in Afghanistan, Iraq and Syria to stop radical Islam. But Senator Brandis, you forgot those lives when you defended the most recognised symbol of radical Islam, the burqa. It was you, Senator Brandis, who found
Senator
yourself
Hanson,
backed...
you need to address your comments to the Chair.
Through you, the Chair.
Not through me. The comments need to be directed to me. Senator Hanson,
yes,
you have the call.
To the Chair. That Senator Brandis who found himself backed in a corner when I wore the burqa into the Senate chamber. Why were you so upset when I wore the burqa into the Senate? Instead of dealing with the issues raised by the burqa, you sidestepped them and declared the burqa as a religious requirement. The Australian Imams Council of Australia, in their press release issued later that day, said it was not a religious requirement to wear the burqa. Senator Brandis, the burqa is not a religious requirement, but it is a shorthand for radical Islam through its oppression of women and association with communities which desire our law to be replaced by Sharia law. Many women are silently suffering by being forced to wear the burqa. The burqa condemns many women to be perpetual minors obedient to their male guardians. It is these women and their children who are most at risk of genital mutilation. Other women wear the burqa as a political statement, a form of defiance against a country which has given them freedom from the oppression experienced in other countries. The Court of Public Opinion has judged you and found you wanting because you defended the most powerful symbol of radical Islam here in the heart of Australia's democracy. Senator Brandis, how can Australians believe the government is serious
Hanson,
when it says...
Again, I just draw your attention to the requirement to address your remarks to the Chair.
I'm making reference to Senator Brandis through the Chair at how Australians can believe the government is serious when it says that integration into our society is an important requirement for Australian citizenship. When you defend the burqa is only seen in communities which want to remain separate from the rest of Australia. Surveys, including the Sky News Reach Tell poll, which was done after I wore the burqa into Parliament, show the majority of Australians want the burqa banned and they want it done now. But Senator Brandis, it seems you believe you know better. Senator Brandis, if you do not ban the full face coverings, including the burqa and the niqab, how can a court of Australia truly determine who appears before it? The majority of Australians want civil servants, judges, soldiers and others to show their faces at work and in public. To do otherwise contradicts the neutrality of the state. They also want the burqa banned in any areas where Commonwealth law applies for reasons related to security and social cohesion. We know that Labor depends on the Muslim vote to hold up to 15 lower house seats in the Parliament, but it is unclear what motivates you to speak up in favour of the burqa. The Liberals do not hold a single lower house seat where there are 10,000 or more Muslims in an electorate. Senator Brandis, you are being used by Labor. You have a right to a view on my decision to wear the burqa into the Senate, but it is arrogant, incorrect and ill-informed when you presume to speak for most Australians.
Senator Hanson, again, I do remind you that your remarks should be addressed to the chair.
The caution that was given to me in respect of our counter-terrorism strategy is rejected. I greatly respect the Australian Federal Police and other agencies, but it was only a miscalculation by the terrorists which allowed the Etihad passengers to reach their destination. If the bag containing the bomb had not been rejected because of the weight, then on the 15th...
What started as a parliamentary speech quickly turned into one of the most explosive political moments in the Senate, as Pauline Hanson escalated her confrontation over the burqa directly at George Brandis, framing it not as a religious issue, but as a national security and identity crisis. From the very beginning, she positioned her decision to wear the burqa inside the chamber as a deliberate political act, claiming it exposed a lack of clear rules and forced the Senate to confront what she described as the real concerns of Australians. That set the tone immediately. This was not a discussion, it was a challenge. As Brandis came under fire, Hanson didn't just criticize his stance. She systematically reframed his response as weakness and avoidance. She insisted that the chamber had been shocked, that colleagues were divided, and that his reaction showed emotional discomfort rather than political clarity. Every time the chair attempted to redirect her remarks, she doubled down, using procedural interruptions as part of her narrative that the system itself was resisting debate on the issue. The most aggressive shift came when she moved from symbolism to accusation, arguing that Brandis was not just defending a garment, but what she repeatedly labeled as a symbol of radical Islam. She tied this directly to national identity, security concerns, and even military sacrifice, invoking Australians who had died in conflict zones to strengthen her argument. At this point, the speech stopped being about dress codes and became a full ideological confrontation over immigration, integration, and cultural identity. What made the exchange more intense was her insistence that public opinion was already settled. She repeatedly referenced polls and public sentiment, claiming Australians had already decided on banning full-face coverings, and suggesting political leaders were ignoring that mandate. This created a framing where Brandis was not simply disagreeing with her, but allegedly standing against the majority of Australians. As the debate escalated, procedural warnings from the chair became more frequent. But Hanson continued pushing through, expanding her argument into broader claims about integration, social cohesion, and government policy. She questioned whether institutions could function properly if full-face coverings remained part of public life, and tied this to courts, security, and even employment statistics. By the final stretch, the speech had transformed into a sweeping critique of immigration policy, multiculturalism, and political leadership. Opponents were framed as disconnected from public reality, while her position was presented as the voice of ordinary Australians demanding action. The moment ended not with resolution, but with clear division. A chamber pulled between procedural control and a politically charged speech that refused to be contained. And the central question left hanging was simple. Was this a serious national security argument, or a calculated political provocation designed to force the issue into the spotlight?